Have you ever found yourself saying or doing something with a woman that didn't go the way you planned? Maybe you were trying to be kind or thoughtful, but it didn't land the way you expected. Or you tried to impress her, but instead, you found yourself feeling awkward or rejected. These are the kinds of mistakes men often make, not because they want to, but because they don't realize how certain actions subtly shift the dynamics in the interaction. What often follows is a loss of attraction, respect, and sometimes even a break in what could have been a potential relationship. One of the most damaging mistakes a man can make is constantly seeking validation from a woman. It may seem harmless at first, a few compliments here and there, maybe some reassurance about how she feels about you. But this behavior can quickly cross a line, repeatedly asking, "Do you like me?" or needing constant reassurance about where you stand can come across as needy and insecure. Here's the thing. Confidence is magnetic, and it doesn't come from external sources, especially not from someone else's validation. Real confidence is rooted in self-assurance, knowing who you are, what you bring to the table, and that you don't need external confirmation to feel good about yourself. Women, like anyone, can sense insecurity from a mile away. Think about it like this. Imagine a man walking into a room with a quiet confidence. He doesn't need to ask anyone if he belongs there. His energy radiates a sense of self-assuredness. On the contrary, if a man constantly seeks validation, asking for approval at every turn, he signals to others that he isn't entirely secure in his own worth. This subtle neediness can be a major turnoff. The irony is that men who don't chase validation often become the most attractive because they exude a quiet, unshakable confidence. Another common mistake men make is over-explaining themselves. Let's say she asks a simple question like, "Why didn't you text me back?" Many men will panic and launch into a long-winded explanation, providing reasons that may not even be necessary. They might offer a string of excuses or apologize profusely, which only serves to show a lack of confidence. Here's the problem. When you over-explain yourself, it comes across as insecurity. The more you talk, the more you risk sounding guilty or uncertain. A confident man, on the other hand, doesn't feel the need to justify his every move. Instead of offering a lengthy explanation, he might simply say, "I was busy, but I'm here now." This is a short, strong response that acknowledges the situation without diving into an emotional, defensive rant. Over-explaining is a defense mechanism. It's an attempt to make the other person understand your actions or alleviate their concerns. However, the truth is that most people respect brevity and clarity. When a man over-explains, he signals to the woman that he doesn't trust her enough to take his words at face value. He might be worried that she will misunderstand him, or he might be scared of her judging him. In relationships, trust is key. A man who trusts himself and trusts that the woman will understand him without needing constant justification is more likely to command respect. Over-explaining, on the other hand, weakens his position in her eyes. At the core, these mistakes, seeking validation and over-explaining, are rooted in insecurity. They stem from a lack of self-confidence and an underlying fear of rejection or judgment. But the more you lean into your own self-worth and learn to trust that your presence alone is enough, the less you'll fall into these traps. In the end, building a successful and respectful dynamic with a woman is about balance. You want to be confident and grounded, without seeking her approval every second. You want to be strong in your words and actions, without over-explaining or justifying every decision. Confidence, self-assurance, and trust in your own value are what will make you stand out, not neediness, constant validation, or second-guessing your every move. Following up from the earlier points, one of the most common traps men fall into when trying to build attraction is being too available. Many men believe that if they're always there for a woman, she will appreciate them more. But this couldn't be further from the truth. It's natural to want to be the man she can rely on, but when you're constantly available, it can send the wrong message. Think about it. If you're always available, you may start to seem predictable, even too predictable. The mystery and excitement in a relationship come from having your own life, your own interests, and your own commitments. When you're always around and always on call, it can make you appear less valuable. Why? Because you're not adding any challenge, and without challenge, there's no sense of longing or desire. Relationships thrive on a sense of wanting and missing one another. This is something that can't exist if you're always there. In fact, women are naturally drawn to men who have a life outside of the relationship. Men with passions, hobbies, friends, and a purpose beyond just being with them. This sense of mystery and scarcity creates attraction. When she knows you have a busy schedule or can't always drop everything to spend time with her, she starts to value the time you do spend together even more. Imagine this. You're a man who works on himself, spends time doing the things he loves, and doesn't make his entire world revolve around her. When you do spend time together, you're fully present and engaged, but you're not dropping everything for her. This behavior is not just attractive, it's also healthy for the relationship. It establishes boundaries, which are key to maintaining respect. Now let's talk about arguing emotionally, another major pitfall many men fall into. Arguments are a natural part of any relationship, but how you handle them can make or break the dynamic. When emotions are high, many men try to argue using logic or reason, thinking that it will help them win the argument. But logic often does not work when emotions are involved. In fact, trying to use logic to outsmart someone emotionally can escalate the tension even further. Think about this. When someone is upset, especially when emotions are running high, they're not in a place to be receptive to logical reasoning. Their emotions are clouding their judgment, and they're likely not interested in hearing a detailed analysis of why they're wrong or why you're right. Instead, they want empathy, understanding, and acknowledgement of how they're feeling. When a man engages emotionally, he ends up getting pulled into the same emotional whirlwind, making it more difficult to resolve the issue at hand. A confident man knows when to step back and take control of his emotions. He doesn't get swept up in the drama. Instead, he sets boundaries and walks away if necessary. Walking away doesn't mean avoiding the issue. It means maintaining composure and emotional control. If an argument is escalating and neither of you is in a position to discuss the issue calmly, stepping away for a while can actually be more powerful than any argument you could make. This gives both parties time to cool off and reflect on the situation without the conversation becoming a heated exchange of accusations. Maintaining emotional control is essential in relationships. Not every argument needs to be won. In fact, trying to win an argument through emotional intensity can lead to more damage in the long run. Instead, the goal should be understanding each other and maintaining respect, even during disagreements. This emotional maturity is what sets high-value men apart and keeps the attraction strong in relationships. By focusing on being emotionally grounded, you not only avoid unnecessary conflicts, but you also increase your respect in her eyes. A man who can maintain his composure in the heat of the moment is a man who knows his worth and doesn't need to prove it by winning every argument. Continuing from the previous sections, let's dive into two more critical mistakes men make in relationships: failing women's tests and apologizing too much. These are subtle, but they can have a significant impact on attraction and how a woman perceives your value. Women, whether consciously or subconsciously, will often test a man's confidence. These tests are not meant to be malicious. They're more about gauging your strength, security, and self-assurance. These tests can range from harmless teasing to challenging your opinions or even pushing your boundaries. A woman might make a playful comment, question your abilities, or throw a challenge your way to see how you react. For example, let's say she says, "You're not that funny," or "You can't possibly think that's a good idea." A man who isn't confident may respond defensively, asking, "Why do you think that?" or trying to justify himself with long-winded explanations. This reaction shows that he's unsure of himself, which weakens his position in her eyes. On the other hand, a confident man will take these comments in stride. Instead of getting defensive or seeking validation, he'll calmly stand by his opinion or offer a playful, strong response. In the case of the "not that funny" comment, he might say, "You haven't seen my best material yet," or "I'll get you laughing by the end of the night." The key here is maintaining your confidence, not letting her teasing or criticism shake your self-assurance. These tests are a way for women to assess whether a man is truly secure in himself. Confidence is incredibly attractive, and women are naturally drawn to men who can handle challenges with ease. They don't want a man who crumbles under pressure or seeks constant reassurance. Instead, they're looking for someone who can stay grounded, even when they throw a little challenge his way. Another critical mistake that lowers a man's value is apologizing excessively. While it's essential to apologize when you've genuinely done something wrong, saying sorry for every little thing can make you appear weak and unsure of yourself. Some men fall into the habit of apologizing for the smallest infractions, like texting her at the wrong time, taking too long to respond, or even just existing in her space. The frequency of these apologies signals a lack of confidence, and it can diminish your perceived value in her eyes. Imagine texting her and saying, "Sorry for bothering you," or apologizing just for sending a message. This kind of behavior is a red flag for insecurity. It suggests that you don't believe your presence or your actions are worthy of her attention. Constantly apologizing for no reason undermines your own value and makes you seem overly self-conscious. Instead, try adopting a more assertive and confident approach. If you're texting her, for instance, say something like, "Hey, I hope you're having a great day," rather than apologizing for bothering her. This shift in mindset is subtle but powerful. It shows that you respect both yourself and her time. You're not begging for her attention or approval. You're simply reaching out because you value the connection you're building. When you stop apologizing for every little thing, you start to communicate that your presence is valuable, and your actions come from a place of confidence and self-respect. This doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It means recognizing that you don't need to apologize for simply existing or for making normal mistakes. Confidence in your actions, without the need to seek constant validation, will go a long way in building attraction. Ultimately, both failing women's tests and apologizing excessively point to one core issue: insecurity. Men who constantly seek validation or apologize for everything lack self-assurance, which can lead to a loss of attraction and respect. By responding confidently to challenges and curbing unnecessary apologies, you'll start to project an air of self-respect that will naturally draw her in. Confidence is the foundation of attraction, and when you exude it, you will not only increase your value in her eyes but also foster a healthier, more balanced dynamic in the relationship. As we continue from the previous sections, let's explore two critical mistakes that can quickly erode attraction and respect in a relationship: putting her on a pedestal and making her the center of your entire life. These behaviors might seem harmless at first, but over time, they can shift the dynamic in a way that leaves you feeling unfulfilled and her feeling less attracted. Putting her on a pedestal. One of the most damaging things a man can do in a relationship is placing a woman on a pedestal. While admiration and respect are fundamental to a healthy relationship, treating her as if she's perfect or superior to you is a surefire way to undermine your own value and create an unhealthy power imbalance. This is a common pitfall for men who are either infatuated or overly focused on impressing the woman they're with. When you elevate her to an unachievable standard, you inadvertently place her above you. This can lead to a dynamic where you constantly feel inferior, unsure of yourself, or worse, incapable of meeting her expectations. A relationship built on such an imbalance creates unnecessary pressure, and the woman, no matter how amazing she is, may start to feel uncomfortable with the way you put her on a pedestal. No one wants to feel like they have to live up to a set of unrealistic expectations. Instead of worshiping her, aim to admire her for who she is without losing sight of your own worth. Compliment her genuinely, but avoid overdoing it. For example, instead of saying, "You're the most amazing woman in the world," which may come across as a bit too much. Say something like, "I really appreciate your energy." It's refreshing. This approach shows that you value her, but you don't place her on a higher plane. Mutual respect, where both parties are seen as equals, is crucial for the health of the relationship. In any partnership, it's important to maintain your sense of self. When you place her above you, you risk losing the balance of power and the dynamic that makes relationships exciting and fulfilling. The key is to admire her, but never to the point of devaluing yourself. Making her your whole life. The second major mistake that can destroy attraction is making her your entire life. It's natural to want to spend time with someone you care about, but when you begin to revolve your entire existence around her, you make yourself unattractive. When a man loses himself in a relationship, he becomes overly dependent, which can be draining for both partners. A woman wants a man who has a life outside of the relationship, someone with passions, goals, and a sense of purpose. This doesn't mean you should neglect the relationship, but it does mean that your life should not solely revolve around her. A man with his own purpose, drive, and activities is far more attractive than a man who doesn't have anything going on besides the relationship. When a man is driven by something bigger than the relationship, it adds value to the connection. This not only keeps things exciting and dynamic, but also prevents the relationship from becoming suffocating. Women are attracted to men who challenge them and who have their own passions. If a woman feels like she's your entire world, she may start to feel the weight of that responsibility, and over time, the attraction can fade. The best relationships are those where both partners maintain their independence while also fostering a deep connection. You should have your own pursuits, whether that's a career, hobbies, or personal goals. This allows you to bring new energy and experiences into the relationship, keeping it fresh and vibrant. When you're constantly available and make her the center of your universe, you signal to her that you have no other priorities. This can lead to feelings of resentment or boredom, and she may start to question whether you're truly the right fit for her. But when you have a life outside of her, she sees you as someone who is self-sufficient and secure, qualities that make you much more attractive in the long run. Finding balance. The key to respect and attraction. The key takeaway here is balance. Respecting yourself and maintaining your own identity within a relationship is crucial. If you want to build long-term attraction, it's essential to keep a balance between nurturing the relationship and continuing to live your own life. A woman wants to feel like she complements your life, not consumes it. When you maintain your sense of self, it allows the relationship to grow in a healthy, mutually fulfilling way. In relationships, attraction thrives on mutual respect, independence, and a sense of mystery. By avoiding the mistakes of putting her on a pedestal and making her your whole life, you not only maintain your own sense of worth, but also create a space where the relationship can thrive.